Sanhedrin daf Chof Aleph Amud Aleph. We're starting from the Mishnah. Lo yarbe lo noshim. We're still talking about the dinim of a melech. State lo yarbe lo noshim. Melech soll nicht nehmen zu viel Weiber. He shouldn't take too many wives. We're going to talk about what's the number of wives that he's allowed to take. The pasuk says why? Lo yas levavi. He doesn't bring down in the Mishnah, but the pasuk is because mehr Weiber, more wives will make him go off the derech. He's going to get married. No, it's not a little. So the pasuk says, it says the Mishnah says he should only marry only 18 women, not more. He can marry even more nashim tzikanias. 1,000. We're soon going to say. Rabbi Yehuda says he can be more nashim tzikanias. Vavad shelo yehei hamasira aslibay, providing. It shouldn't be such women that will take him away from Yiddishkeit. Even if it's one woman, but that woman's a prutza, she's that's another zach. Yeah, that could turn him away from Yiddishkeit. Even for one wife, he shouldn't take. If I say, why does it say he shouldn't be married many women? To tell you that that even Abigail who she was a tzidkani he should not marry more than 18. Even if the old tzidkani is not more than 18. So he says, if it's a tzidkani see, Rabbi Yehuda argues. Rabbi Yehuda says, in the pasuk it says, you shouldn't be married noshim because they'll turn you away from Yiddishkeit. But says, if it's all tzidkani he says you can marry even more than 18. Rabbi Shimon says, no. That even said like Abigail only 18. We're soon going to talk about the reason. The Maimer, right now, the Gemara says, should we say that Rabbi Yehuda Dorish time in the Kra? Rabbi Yehuda darshins the reasoning of the pasuk, and since the pasuk said, why isn't he allowed to marry 18 women? Because they'll take him off the derech. But if it's tzidkani then he can marry more, and that's why Rabbi Yehuda said he can marry more than 18. Rabbi Shimon Lo Dorish time in the Kra. Rabbi Shimon says, no, I'm not darshing. I'm not darshing the reasoning of the pasuk. Lo Yosem, we don't darshan that. 18. That's it. Nishmar. Thank you, brother. That's the machlekes. Like Zed Sakasim. Yeah. So what? Let's understand. You're saying Rabbi Yehuda dashens the reasoning in the pasuk, and Rabbi Shimon doesn't. So we learn just the opposite. We learned that Rabbi Shimon is the one that is doirish the time of the Kra, and Rabbi Yehuda is not doirish. Where do we see that? The time we learned in the Braisa, almana that took halva, a widow that took a loan, whether she's poor or rich, the Balchet cannot take a mashkin from her. Never, like it says in the pasuk, do not take a mashkin beged shel almana, a beged of almana.
Even if she's rich.
Even if she's rich. Rabbi Yehuda. That means he's not there. He's time of the Kra. Rabbi Shimon, no, Ashira, a wealthy woman, mashkin in. You do take a mashkin. Only a niya aim a mashkin in Isa. Only a niya, poor woman, you're not going to take a mashkin. You have to give it back to her. If every time she's going to come at night, you have to give her back the sweater. It's too cold, or the powder. You have to give her the colders with the pillows, the blankets, and the pillows. You're going to have to give it back. So she's going every morning. She's going to come there. So the neighbors are going to talk. Oh, he's living with her. This is coming every morning, every night, too often. Yeah. So that's weird. Rabbi Shimon is dash the time of the car, because we're afraid that the people are going to speak, that they're going to say, Shemna, right? So that's why. But if she's a wealthy woman, you're allowed to take a mashkin according to Rabbi Shimon, and that's the opposite of what Rabbi Shimon said in Ageya to Lo Yaba Lo Noshim. He says, we don't care if it's, the reason is because they're going to make him go off the derech. He says, no, even if it's tzikani is 18. He doesn't go according to the reasoning. And here he says, we do go according to the reasoning. Only a poor person, a poor widow, you're not allowed to take a mashkin, but a rich widow, you're allowed. Because he says, we are the reasoning. The reasoning behind it is because if he'll go, and he has to give it back every night, in the morning she comes back, and he takes it back from her. So then, rich woman, you don't have to worry about it. So you see, he is the opposite of what he said before. So it says, my kama. What was the kavanah of Rab Shimon? Hachikama. This was the kavanah. Since you're going to take a mashkin from this woman, and you're gonna have to give it back to her every day. So she's going to be going every morning and evening to give and take back the mashkin. And you're going to cause that there's going to be a bad name between the shchenim, that they're going to be chesed that he's being mazana with her. And this is not shaykh only by a mother that's a poor mother, but a rich mother is nothing to worry about. So Rabbi Yehuda, Rabbi Shimon is being deidish the tam. Alma, Rabbi Yehuda loy darish time in the car. Rabbi Yehuda says no chilik, rich or poor, you can't take a mashkin. So you see, according to Rabbi Yehuda, you're not deidish. And before he says you are deidish, you can even marry 1,000 tzidkaniyas. Because they're not, because they're all tzidkaniyas. Rabbi Shimon darish time in the car. So you see, Rabbi Yehuda is not darish, the reasoning of the pasuk. Rabbi Shimon is darish time in the car. The opposite of what we said before. Everything about to be Oma, but Rabbi Yehuda loy darish time in the car. Rabbi Yehuda is not doirish the reasoning of the pasuk. V'shayni yacha, and over here it's different. The mefarish time in the Kra, that here the reason of the Isa that's mefarish in the pasuk is because that the pasuk is being mefarish the reason. Matam lo yabe lo nashim. The pasuk says befedish mishum lo yasur levavi. So the pasuk says befedish the tam. It's not that you're doirish yourself what the reason of the pasuk. The pasuk says itself lo yasur levavi. He shouldn't, that the king shouldn't go astray. He shouldn't go off the derech. Rabbi Shimon Amalach, Rabbi Shimon will say to you, can answer you, but derech klal, we go according to we are the time of the Kra. But here, Mechdi, Be'oma Dashin Tam of the Kra. Let's understand what's going on here. Normally, we are Dashin the time of the Kra. Imkain, Lichtev, Kra, Le'yabaloi, Nazim, and Lishtei. Let the Torah write, you're not allowed to be Mabba women, and we'll learn on our own.
Why?
What's the reason? And we would have said on our own, Matam, lo yabaloim. What we would say on our own, what's the reason? Mishum lo yasa. We would understand ourselves. So is Akasha lo yasa lamali? Why does the Torah have to say lo yasa lavavi? We know that on ourselves. Here the lo yasa is not a mitzadatam. It's a din. He wants to tell you a din. Afilu achas. That even if it's one woman, he cannot marry. Umasida, it's a woman that will take him off the derech. Umasida, sleep it, that she will take his heart away from Yiddishkeit. Even for one woman. So if it's one woman, if he can't even take one woman, why was it say lo yabe? If he can't one, for sure a lot he can't. Tell us that. Even if he's going to take all tzidkaniyas, he cannot take more than 18. So the Yasur in the pasuk is nishkin tam, is adin. To tell you adin that even if it's one woman, but if she's mesiras libay, she strays the heart of the melech. He's not allowed to take even one woman. Why does I have to say lo yabel nashim? To tell you even that like Abigail, you don't go more than 18. Okay. But really, Rabbi Shimon says we do go after the time of the crop. But here, the pasuk is telling you to dinim, and we can use it. He's telling you can use time of the crop. He's telling you what the din is. This that it says lo yosef to tell you one woman, even the one woman you're not allowed to take. Mesiras liba and lo yavam lo nashim, even as like Abigail, you can't take more than 18. So how do we know you took 18? How do we know that it's mutter for a melech to take 18? Because it said by David HaMelech, David was first a king in Hebron. That's where the capital was originally, until he moved to Yerushalayim. So he had children in Hebron. The Bechei was Amnon, who was born from Achinoim HaYisraelis. The second child, Chilov. Abigail, he was born to the Abigail, who was first the Ashes Novel HaKarmeli, she was first the wife of Novel. Vashlishi, and the third child is Avshalom ben Machal. Varavi, and the fourth child is Adinio ben Chagis. Vashchamishi, child. Vachamishi, and the fifth child was Shvatya ben Avito. Vashishi, and the sixth child was Yisram le'egla, Ashes David, was Yisram, who was born from Eglah, who was the wife of David. These are all the children that were born to David HaMelech in Hebron. The Kamalei Navi. And after this man, Nosna Navi, who was at that time, the Navi, told David on the sin that he committed with Bathsheba. Because he told Bathsheba's husband, you go out to war. They ambushed him, killed him, because whoever goes out to war, like get. And he married Bathsheba. So Nosna Navi was telling him about the sin that he did with Bathsheba. Says, you want to eat my heart, if it wasn't enough what the Eibishter gave him till now, by Siflecha, Kahena Kahena, the Eibishter says, I will add to him that he can take, meaning that this was included in the words of the Navi, that the Eibishter said, he can add more women. Kahena, which is Kahena, like he had till now 6 women, and the Kahena, and another 6 women. The Havalu Tamli says, so altogether it's 18. Because 6, the first 6, he had 6, right? Then Yirmiyah told him, Nosna Navi told him, the Eibishter said, Asivlecha Kahena, like you have now, which is another 6, is 12. Vik Kahena, he said, Nachamova Kahena, is Nachazeks, is 18. That's how you have 18. Maskelo, Ravina is Takasha, Imam, Kahena, Tatisrei. Say, Kahena is 12, Vik Kahena, Esnababa. Look, the first time he had 6. The first Kahena makes it 12. The next Kahena, after you have 12, is the Kahena is maybe the 12. So it's 24. So it should be 24. So the Gemara, Tanya Nami Hoch. Yeah, Tanya Nami Hoch, we talk a lot in the Bryce like that. Lo Yav Lo Nashim, Yoisem Esem Yaba. We learned in the Bryce, attack not more than 24. In fact, Gemara, Laman, the Dorish Vav, there's Vik Kahena. So the Cheda, Aboyim Ushmeina Haba. It's 48. How? Because Kahena, you have 12. The Vav of the second Kahena is 24. And then the Kahena is another 24, is 48. So I say, well, you're right. You shouldn't have more than, a king shouldn't have more than 48. My time. What's the reason of our Tana that says only 18? Rav Kana said, we compare the second Kahena to the first, just like the first Kahena was only 6. So the second Kahena has to be like the first one, 6 more.
The third Kahena?
Yeah, so the third, there's 2, only 2. There's the Vav of a Kahena. He's not there, there's the Vav. So, but the first Kahena was added 6. So the next Kahena is like the first one, you can only add 6, not more. So Yimana Kahena Kama, just like the first Kahena Shis is 6, Av Kahena Basa Shis is only going to be 6. In fact, Yimana Havoy Michal. There was Michal, I told you yesterday the story when I was walking you home. Michal Bashol married David HaMelech.
Because he promised him
It's the daughter of Shaul. It was a whole story. He told him, go bring me 100 olas of Plishtim, go kill 100 Plishtim like you. But then he did a milah after he killed them. So he had 100, but he didn't bring just 100. He brought 200. He killed 200. And he gave him a certain time. Same price, he gave 200. And he said, that's the money that I'm using to be Mekadesh Michal. Yeah. So Gemara Amarav. So what's the kasha? So if he married a 7th one, so why don't you count 7? That he Chatchila had 7. Because Michal was a story, if you look, Michal's pasuk was before that. Where is it? Anyway, Michal's pasuk was from before. So if Michal's pasuk was before, so Kahena should be another 7 and another 7. And if you want to Amarav, Eglah, the Eglah that we mentioned in the last pasuk, Zu Michal, that's Michal. So it's not a new name. It was between the 6 names. But Lama Nikashma Eglah. Why was she called Kelbela? The vibe Kelbela. I don't know. You get a kick if you call that Kelbela. So you want to why? Yeah, Shekvala. Yeah, honeymoon, honey bunny. So why did he call her Kelbela? Yeah, she Chaviva la Kelbela because she was beloved like a calf. Okay, so we find that it's a lashon of love. Where do we find that? That by Shimshon made a deal. He asked a riddle to the Plishtim. and they made a
Shimon's
deal.
gonna give it to
Shimon's
him.
going to get, and they would have to answer. Whoever, if they answer, he would have to give them a big amount of money, and they couldn't. Shimon Hagibig is he coming to the Plishtin,
Right.
and he asked them a riddle,
Right.
and he said, if you answer it, I'll give you a schum, a geis a schum geld. But if not, he has to pay. But if not, they have to give him. So what happened? They grabbed his wife, and they threatened her, and she told them the answer. They told her go find out the answer from the husband, and they got it from her. So,
the question was about his,
what's the answer to the?
his Gibershaft.
No,
About
what?
the secret,
No, not that secret. A secret. He asked about he asked the whole riddle.
That's a different one.
It's a different story, right?
I thought because of
No. So that's a different lady. That was Lalia. Here we're talking about it. So anyway, so he said, if you wouldn't have plowed with my kelbele, meaning plowed, if you wouldn't have threatened her and got the answer out, you wouldn't have known it. Anyway, he took care of business.
So he had to pay anyway, so he killed him.
No, he took care of business. Yeah, it says he tied up a whole bunch of foxes by the tail, and he lit a fire, and they were all running different directions, and they burned the fields. He took Nekama. Sagt die Mother, have a lemechel b'ni? Says the mother was there. Did lemechel have any children? Sagt die Mother, vaksiv lemechel bashol lo hayla yela ad ma'isa. Ad yom ma'isa didn't have any child until the day of death. Till the day of death, she didn't have. But the day she had a child, she died. How you love lot? She had a child. That's one answer. And the Gemara slugs up that answer and says, "Mechti banim heichikachashalahu."
And the son she has from David?
She had from David. Yeah, sure. So the Gemara Mechti. Let me cook done. Habanim, the children of David that the pasuk mentioned before, enumerated before. Heichikachashalahu. Where was he counting them? Which place? Which place were they born? B'Chevron. They were born in Chevron, where David was originally the king in Chevron, and then moved to Yerushalayim. But the story that the Torah talks about, that the Nevi'im talks about Meichel, that she didn't have a child until Adi Meisa, Yerushalayim. That was in Yerushalayim. The Chesiv Meichel Bashol Nishkav Be'at Chalayim. Meichel Bashol was looking out the window. V'Ateres HaMelech David Mefazes Mechakal Lefnei Adon Hashem. He sees David HaMelech jumping like a little kid, or like it was funny. A swing chicken, yeah. But Tivas later Lila, and she was disgusted in her heart. But why David HaMelech is being he's being mezalzel himself. Meichel was punished. What was she punished? For being mezalzel in this that David was dancing before Hashem. Hashem withheld from her children. Yeah, sure. So even B'Yemaisa, how could you say the day? Yeah, that's a separate thing. But David HaMelech was being happy in front of the Adon Hashem that's come to Yerushalayim, and she felt that it's a bezayin. Anyway,
that's why she didn't have a baby
so she didn't have a baby till the day of her death. So because David punished her. So how could you teach the day of her death she had a baby? What do you mean? David is punishing her for this, that she in her heart felt it's a zilzal. Elaima said, you want to only answer like this. Ad Maisa, till that story that Meichel was Mavaza David in her heart, she had children. Hayala. But from that story, that she had the hearts of David HaMelech, lo hayala, she didn't have any more children. So David after he came from Chevron, he had many more wives. What are you saying? He only had, it didn't take more than 18 wives. So the Gemara says the additional wives, that was to fill up the number to 18. In fact, what's the difference between Noshim and Plakshim? Amarav Yehuda Amarav Noshim Biksuba Ubikidushin. Women, regular women, get a Ksuba, a Kedushin. You have to be Mekadisher with Kesef or the star. Of a Plakshim, they're women below without any schayvus to them, like Ksuba, without being Meschayvek Ksuba to them. But like Kedushin, no Kedushin, you took them and lived with them. That's it. So Amarav Yehuda Amarav. 400 children David had. They call them b'nei Yefastaya hayu. They were children of the Yefastaya. No, Yefastaya, yeah, it's beautiful. Yefastaya is that when they went and had Mechama, they would take these women and bring them into the house. So they were called Yefastaya. They took them in for the beauty, so they would have to shave off their head, let the nails grow, and they should sit Ma'avelis over their parents so they shouldn't look so nice. But he married these Yefastayas, and he had children, 400 children. And they had these ponytails. They shaved off the whole head, and they only had a ponytail in the back.
Only the kids took the Yefastaya. David took also.
No, David took the Yefastaya and had the children from the Yefastaya. And they shaved their head, and they had a little ponytail in the back, and they all look good. They were all sitting in wagons of gold. And they would be the first ones out in the war. They would go out in the front. They were Gibbeim of Shabbat David from the house of David. So
The ladies were saying
men, the sons that he had from these Yefastaya, those 400 children went out to Muhammad in the front. They were Gibbeim. Rav Yehuda said the name of Rav Tamar, who was the sister of Avshalom. Bas Yefastaya. She was the daughter of a Yefastaya. She wasn't Jewish originally. Then they became Geras. She never, like it says in the pasuk, when Amnon wanted to live with Tamar, Amnon was a brother, but Amnon was born after the mother was Megayer, so completely. But Tamar wasn't. So Tamar was allowed to marry her brother because it wasn't a real brother. So she tells Tamar, tells Amnon, ask Shus by David HaMelech our father, and he'll be mata you to marry me as a wife. If you're going to say she was born B'tahara, meaning Tamar was born from the mother when she was already B'tahara, so we have a problem. Then she's a real sister and a brother. Is he allowed to marry a sister? She's Mamash's sister. It's Mamash's Sarva. She originally, when Macha, she was Bas Macha, the daughter of Macha. Macha originally was a Yefastaya, and when she gave birth to him, she was still a Yefastaya. So therefore, she wasn't considered as a brother to Amnon, who was born if the Macha was completely she did the Yeridus. She went through the whole Yeridus. So therefore, he was allowed to marry her. So it says, well, Amnon, Reya, Ushmay, and Yainad ben Shima, Achi David. Amnon had a friend, and his name was Yainad ben Shima, the brother of David. Yainad is Chachmeid. And Yainad, the brother of David, was a very smart man.
How many brothers he had? Only one brother?
No, he had a couple of brothers until they chose David HaMelech. They didn't believe that he was supposed to be the king. Shmuel came, show me your children, I want to know which one. And he shows all his children, he didn't show David. Because he didn't think David's a Rit and Shkein and they're in the field. And at that, Shmuel says, it's not. He thought it wasn't a legitimate child, is right. So he didn't. He says, this is the king, that's not the one that Abishna told me. He says, he doesn't think it's it. David HaMelech, that's it. Okay, anyway. So Yonada was a brother. He was wise, but for evil stuff. Yonada said to Amnon, Ben HaMelech. He said to Amnon, Tamar, your sister, the sister of Avshalom, right? He asked him, why are you so schwach? Because Tamar, who's the sister of Avshalom, meaning his brother, he said he loves her. He loves her. Okay. He says, let me give you a plan. Go lie down on your bed and make believe you're sick. Till Tamar, your sister, will come, and she'll serve you bread. And of course, David HaMelech will come visit, and he'll tell David HaMelech, listen, I want my sister to serve me in front of me. So Tamar came, and while he was lying down, she took batzek, she took a dough, and she kneaded it, and she fried it, and she made these donuts. She took the pan, and she poured the dough and to make it and fried it. She made these fried donuts for him, fried cakes. I don't know. Okay, after. So and then what happened when he did that? She was doing it. He was manas her. He raped her. So by Yisna, right after he raped her, he hated her. Didn't want it. He didn't like it. He hated her. My time, he's the one that raped her. He wanted her. Yeah, I mean, Rabbi Yitzchak. Yeah, he said, "What's the problem now?" I mean, Rabbi Yitzchak nima niksher alay, because the hair from her ever went around his eva, and so up to kruv shavcha, and made him into a person that cannot have children. She cut the vein that lets out the zera. Says the Gemara, niksher alay. Says the Gemara, because they happened to tie around the zeva. That's why he should. What did she do? Why should he hate her? It's not her fault. She did it. And she made him.
So why should to beg for her the donuts?
That was first. That's how he got it. That's how he got her. While she was doing it, he raped her. That's what happened.
She didn't want to live with him.
No. He raped her. So she took nakama. She took care of business.
Yeah,
For a life. It's impossible to say that. This that it says about the Bnei Yisrael by Yitzlan Shem going by Yafich, that there was a name that the women were so beautiful. Shein lived Bnei Yisrael lois habeshechi v'lois beis ha'eva. There was no hair in the armpits, nor in the bottom by the erva. That was the beauty in that time. They didn't grow by them. Says you want a shiny Tama. So how did Tama have that? How did she have a nima here that she says you want Tama was different than Basim Fastaya. She wasn't Bnei Yisrael, she was a Basim Fastaya, so that's why she had the hair over there. In fact, so the Gemara continues. She took ash and put it on her head. And the beautiful shirt or blouse that she was wearing, she tore. In this story, Tama did it. She went out to the Shusarab and was mafasim the busha that she went through, and she said, "God, Tama b'Yisisha." This pirtze gedela that happened to her, the people she was telling that to the women, and she said, "Listen." She made a kavachema from herself. Amru. If to the daughters of Malachim they could get raped, how much more so regular girls can get raped? And is like Tama was at Snua, and nevertheless she got raped. Those that are asking for it, the prutzes, those that go dressed not sneersly, for sure you can happen. So don't go out to be a prutzer because. Even as a tznur can happen for sure as a prutzer. At that time,
So why should they tear herself up like this?
because to mourn and to let the women know what's going on, and they should be careful. The Beznagala at that day made a gzeira ala yichud to not be alone with a married man, al pnuya, and that a person shouldn't live with a pnuya. Even though it's not erva, he shouldn't only do. There should be kedushin, ksuba. It should go the right way. So you want a yichud? Yichud? Who needs not to make the gzeira? It says over here. What's the problem with gzeira? It's isnaisu. It's a yichud with aisha seish is isnaisa. There's a hint to the east of yichud. With the issue that's us, from what do we know from the Torah? Shnama, ki yisischa achicha benimecha. When
wasn't the married woman.
Who? No, she was a pnuya. Yeah, but he made the gzeda for not. He made a gzeda for yichud with aishas ish also. Oh, you want to know why he chose that? He said that with all aroyas. Because of them, all for everything. Yeah. Where do we see that from the Torah? It says Shanam, like it says in the pasuk. It says that a brother, the son of your mother, that will persuade. The chiben aim maces, is only your brother from the mother side could persuade to go and serve idols. Ben av aim maces. If it was the son of a father, he's not a boy that's the son of a father cannot persuade others to go and serve idols. Only the pasuk Leimlecha has come to tell you, Bein misyachid im imay, that a son could be, that's the only one that could be along with the mother, alone. But there's no other aroyas that are allowed to be one together. So since since the son is mutter to be misyachid, therefore, and they're found constantly, so it's possible the ben to persuade the mother, only a ben of a mother. Says the Gemara, so you see that's Ismanat Torah, that all other aroyas are also from this pasuk, because it says the only aroyas that can be together is a son with the mother, but any other aroyas is Isur, Yichud. Alaima goes al Yichud Pnuya. Rather, she came to make the Rabbanan came to make a gzeira that there shouldn't be Yichud even with a Pnuya, a woman who never was married, which is not a Ismanat Torah. And they came to Bezdin of David and made a gzeira to Asa, even a Pnuya. It says, Vadiniyo, the fourth son of David, Ben Chagis, the son of Chagis, Misnasan Leimer, Ani Amlech, he elevated himself and said, I'm going to rule. He wants to become king. He wanted to put on the crown. The problem is, it did not fit him, because in the crown there was like a little bar that you had to have a special groove in the head that it fit. And he didn't have it, so he knew it's not for him. But he still went further. And he made himself for wagons and runners and riders and runners. No, he needed that crown. That was the main thing. And he had 50 runners. What's so special? They all took out the spleen. The spleen is on the left side. It's a piece that makes heavy the person. So they took it out. They should be able to run faster. And they also, on the bottom, they carved out till the bone. They took off the flesh so the bone can walk even on hard floors and run. Because with their bare feet, you can run faster. So a king, the Mishnah, it says in the Torah, he shouldn't accumulate horses. Only enough for his wagons and drivers that he needed for the chayolim. And he shouldn't accumulate silver and gold too much. Only to be able to accumulate enough to give a salary to the chayolim, to the soldiers. And he has to write a sefer Torah for himself. And he goes out to war. And he's mechuyev to go and take with him the Torah. Nichnas, when he goes into Mechama, or when he returns from Mechama, he brings it into his house. When he goes out to Mechama, he takes it with him. Nichnas, when he returns to Mechama, he brings the Sefer Torah with him. Yesh Badin, when he sits in Bezdin, he has the Sefer Torah with him. Meisev, he sits down to eat. He connect the Sefer Torah is next to him. It should be with him in order that he should learn and fear Hashem. It should always be in his heart to watch all the words of the Torah, the chukim that the Sefer Torah is done to him. He cannot sit as a dayan. Only Malchi David. We learned yesterday. But the Malchi Yisrael not because of the Gzeira with Yanai. Yeah, it's a small Sefer Torah. It was like a kameya. What? Yeshua Din. Maybe he's referring to Malchei David. They sat Bedin as a judge. So you want to tell me about the land? He shouldn't accumulate horses. I would have thought he's not allowed to even accumulate for his people that ride the wagons and the people that ride the horses. Yeah, Talmud Lema. Only for himself. But for the riders, you're allowed to. In fact, what do I need to pass? So he says, what's the warning? You shouldn't have these horses that are sitting just in the stall for to show, look how many horses I have. No, it's not, but he doesn't need this waste. He How do we know even one horse that's extra? He's in the Isa of Loyaba. He's committing the Isa. It says Laman Habai Sus Lashon Yochid. In the lab of Loyaba, if even for one extra sus, even the Isa of Loyaba, Susim Lamali. What do I need Susim to tell me Lava Blaisasa? I'll call Sus. To tell you that it's going to be for the Gemara Susim Lamali, what does it have to say plural? If I'm one Sus is Ava, and for the Gemara Lava Blaisasa, I'll call Sus. Yeah, one says Sus, one says Sus. What do I need Susim? Lava, and for the Gemara Lava Blaisasa, I'll call Sus. To tell you it's going to be Ava for every extra Sus he has. So if you want to time it, the whole reason is for every extra Sus, Lo Yava Lo Susim. It's a lav. So it's a lav. Yes. Time the whole reason is the Kasach Manalay. Yeah. Yeah. Time of the Kasach Manalay. The whole reason because the Torah wrote Loi. But if the Torah wouldn't have written the extra word Loi, right? So how about me now? I would have thought even for what he's needed for the riders, he's not allowed to be Mabel Susim. Says the Gemara, well, how could I ever thought that? You're saying Loi? It's telling you only him, and if it wouldn't say Loi, I would have said even for the riders, you don't. He doesn't. Even if they need it, you're not allowed to buy extra. So the Gemara is saying, how could that be? It's impossible to say that. I mean, the Gemara like Tzicha La Push. It means to add till he'll have more than he needs. Okay. It says the silver and the gold he shouldn't accumulate. Only to give a salary for the soldiers. I would have thought. I would have thought even to give a salary for the soldiers. Loi says the Gemara for himself. He's not allowed to accumulate. But he could. But he could accumulate to give a salary for the soldiers. Says Gemara time in the cost of Rachmana Loi. You're saying only because it says Loi. That's how you know it's only to him. It's also, but for the soldiers you're allowed to collect. I would have thought that even for giving for this salary for the soldiers, you're not allowed. So how could I think that? You need to pay your salary for the soldiers. Because you said only because it says late, it tells you only for himself he's not allowed to accumulate, but for the soldiers he could. But if it wouldn't say late, that means even for the soldiers not late. Here he means he's coming to tell you that even if you want to accumulate extra money for reserves, right? So he's come to tell you you're allowed to. I would have thought not. Now that you're using the word loy as a dasha, he shouldn't marry to him. What's the loy coming to teach us? At Yotis is allowed to take more than 18 women. Only a melech is not. Rabbi Yehuda is because the Torah says only by by a king. Rabbi Yehuda is the It says he had 40,000 stalls. 40,000 stalls for Susim. And then in another pasuk it says Vayil Shleima Abbas Alof Susim. He only had 4,000 stalls. Okay, so how do you answer that? It says if he had 40,000 stables, then for then in every one he had only 4,000 stalls. But if he only had 4,000 stables, then he had in each stable 40,000 stalls. So the
more stalls he had less.
The more stables he had, less stalls he had. The less stables he had, more stalls he had. So Rabbi Yitzchak asked the student from the Pesukim Siv. It says, "Ein kesef nechshav b'mei shleim lebilma." Money, silver was worthless, zero. Siv, and then it says another pasuk. Shleim HaMelech es hakesef b'Yerushalayim ka'avonim. It had a worth like these special stones. How did it become worth something? Before we said it had no verda, it had no worth. It says Yimana like kasha. Kan koinu shnasa Shleim as bas pari. Here we're talking about before Shlomo married the daughter of Pari, then there was so much kesser that had zero value. Here we're talking about after he married the daughter of Pari, then it had some value. when the time that Shlomo HaMelech married the daughter of Pari, Malach Gabriel went and put a reed in the bed of the Yam, and a whole bunch of sand came up, and he created Italy. And this land of Rome was created to make a tzara to the Yidden for Shlomo HaMelech that he married the Bas Pari. Why doesn't it say the reasoning behind shatnez or the reasoning behind eating chazer? Because we had two psukim where the Torah was nagala, the reasoning behind it, and Nixmehem Gadol Shba'elam. And Shlomo HaMelech was stumbled on it. It says he shouldn't marry and having more women. Why? Because they'll take him off the derech. I'll add, I'm not going to go off the derech. When Shlomo got older, the women turned him off. It says he shouldn't marry any more horses. Don't worry, I'm not going to go back to Mitzrayim. That was the Isa. As long as you get to Mitzrayim. He says, don't worry, I won't. And then it says, they went over, they went to Mitzrayim.